thunderstruck there going on. Got to be careful, though. Got to be careful. They'll kill the feed over music. It's not mine, that's for sure. But I do put mine up at times. Anyway, welcome in Studio 10. Yeah, unexpected. Thank you for having me into your homes. I am Michael Anthony. Just like a rant and a rave for a Monday. So much is going on. What's real? What's fake? What's fake news? Everything's everything, right? Well, learned some things today that might be positive for General Flynn. So good thing for him. A judge came down with a decision, and we know what Flynn was put through, as well as other guys, Stone and some others. I mean, whatever. Not judging, just saying. But he's granting permission to Flynn and his attorneys to go forth to be able to sue CNN. Bang! I love it. I mean, really, I do love it. Take their money. Take their money all day long. You guys remember a young fella and an Indian and some type of early protest, and the guy got in his face, and then the media got in this young kid's face, and whatever. I'm not judging anybody here. I'm not trying to, suggest anything. But it seems that Nikola Tesla, NBC's to be paying him, his legal and counsel and everybody, $275 million. Rate them over the coals. Take their money. Take their money. It's free money. And they seem that they want to give it away when it comes to media and the narrative. You haven't seen anything yet. The lawsuits that are coming forth against this whole entire propaganda machine is going to be incredible. It really is. Quite damaging in many ways. And we know that that's true. According to John Hopkins, man, and this is always disarming. So 50 million are sick right now, according to John Hopkins. Over 100 NFL players are testing positive for something. Just saying. Then we have now spying Santa toys, smart toys. So there's trouble in Toyland, and they collect data. So here you are. It's Christmas time. The kids want these great new products, these things of intelligence and so forth. And here we are with that. So they're collecting data on your children, listening to your children. In some cases, if they have little cameras, they are taking pictures. And they can also be hacked. Yeah, they're hacking toys. So, as I always say, when is technology too much technology? I guess it all depends whose hands it's within, Anyway, thanks for everybody joining in last night. I appreciate it, all the views and, so forth. It's not for everybody. I get that. Sunday nights, America Disclosing Uncensored will bring you to a different enlightenment of thought, though. So let me even see if I'm online, truly online. All right. Sometimes they suppress me, and then I have to edit the privacy. And there they did it again. Yeah. So they killed my public feed. So what I go through is, even though I'm public and I stream in public, it jumps me down to only share to friends. So they like strangling me, they really do. They put me in a stranglehold, and I guess this is just a move on their part. I guess they feel it's intelligent, whatever, but that's what happened. So I figured out, how do I get around that? StreamYard's streaming me publicly. However, when I land in Facebook, it's for friends only. So I'm not seen by the followers. People who do want to follow, hang out, check in, maybe call me, talk on the show with me. And a lot of times I don't know this is going on. I forget. So now I put up on the green screen thing, check that you're public, because it's holding me back in relationship to things. So if you missed it, I started out with some AC/DC Thunderstruck. I talked about New Jersey in trouble. General Flink and Sue. You remember the little Sandman, Nicholas Sandman, the Indian, the beating of the drum, face to face, heart to heart. NBC's right there. Yeah, well, everybody's paying everybody money. Flink can now sue CNN. Nicholas Sandman is going to collect $275 million. 50 million, according to John Hopkins, are sick. Okay, I used to have a lot of respect for John Hopkins. I'm hoping that what they're writing down is true and factual. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that tonight. And I know it's Monday. Well, thanks for welcoming me into your homes and into your thoughts. I really greatly appreciate it. Again, as I'm saying, last night went really well on all the platforms. It really did. It's not a show for everybody, America Disclosing Uncensored, but guaranteed there's reasons why I'm taking us there. And it's a nice place to hide behind at times, to be honest with you, because I can stream into it from a different place under a different name, and boom, there I'll be. But anyway, all right, so spying Santa toys, smart toys, trouble in Toyland. They can collect data, take pictures, record your voices, and hack your toys. So that's what you probably missed, because I did review back and seen that this was going on. So yeah, they're collecting data. Smart toys. It's a war. How much technology is too much technology? And that's the true case scenario of it. Stocks, expect them to fall and not even be anywhere where you would be happy. Stay away from the stock market. It's up in arms. And honestly, I navigated through a bunch of stuff today. It's not looking good. And probably because there's a lot of uncertainty as to what Joe's going to do tomorrow. I'm going to take you into something in a minute here that, I thought I should try to share to you guys, because, you have to stand up in America now. We're on our own. It's all for one and one for all, by all means, but we're living each day on our own. We have no solid representation in America. I posted something just a few minutes ago, actually, about Marjorie Green that's even coming out now, that's being talked about. And this wasn't only one source, that even she has stock in the pharma companies. You read it, you decide, okay? I'm not saying anything. I'm just sharing, because you know what? We should share everything, because everything is a matter of importance. We need to know where the truth lies. And she should speak on this. She needs to make a comment. She truly does. She needs to address this to the people. If it's a lie, you better talk about it. You better get out there, because there's a lot of vibes going on out there. And again, this could be planted information. However, I don't know. And if I don't share it to you, what kind of guy am I? Because, we got to rely on what is truth and try to do the best that we can all have it, know it, understand it, research it a little bit more, put it into perspective. But we've all supported this young lady hugely. And I would be so disheartened if I found out that for an easy buck, because of a political position in Washington, you decided to jump into that bandwagon in ways you can't, I kind of understand, the people have a need to make more. We do. It's instinctive in ways. And again, whatever. If it's true, she needs to answer some very, very serious questions about this stuff. So how do we navigate through all this new norm of all these outbreaks and more? So I collected some data and things that I didn't talk about last night. And, again, the stream went pretty well. It really did. A lot of people gave a lot of support to it. It's doing much better than I did when I came on here and did this political. And I got to tell you, there's just a lot of people and other groups that are still angry. They just moved into other groups that maybe we don't quite connect with, and they do. So some of our large membership might be conspiracy theorists in a huge way. And let's face it, if it wasn't for conspiracy theorists, most of this information wouldn't even be out there. It really wouldn't. They are the people and backbone in many ways that helped us move along to understand things. So anyway, look into this thing on Marjorie. To me, she's been a rock star. I hope she comes out and speaks on this in some way. Trump spoke a clip from Trump got out. Kind of a Christmassy themed thing that he attended in Texas. That was rather interesting. And there was certain things and elements that were, quote unquote, mentioned. I think you need to listen to it. If you had it, please research it, find it. If you don't have it and you want a copy of it, please ask. I'll do what I can to furnish it to you. And if anybody wants to come in and talk about anything, please feel free to do that. I'll try to answer questions. I'll even take calls. Okay, testing positive for, yeah, April and Jess. Hello. Izzy's on. Hi, Izzy. Oh, and Beth. She's on a trip to a buzz. Okay, yeah. Best partying tonight. So tell her don't drink and drive. Mary Kay, how are you? Thank you for the prayers. Jeffrey, who always stops in. Don't forget Lawrenceville Motors, this income tax season. These guys will find you whatever you need. They always do. They're great people out of the Pittsburgh area. Don't forget that. Wiley Weld, WIDLY, well, WELL21 @gmail.com. Just check them out if you're looking for a late Christmas gift. They can direct ship and everything, and health is everything. It's important. So just keep those things in mind. I don't know. I was at the store, I'd be going out and I do my exercise. I do my running. I drink my water. I try to do all the right things. I'm feeling pretty good. No denying that in any way. Thank God, knock on wood. And I got wood all through my house. I love wood. So I kind of ornated it rustic modern. It's a different vibe, but I like it. It works for me. Anyway, long story short here. In Texas, we're getting a new wall. It's going to have to do with how Texas, is going to protect itself. And then we got Terry Anderson, Patriots at Large down there, who is now helping, doing the best they can. They know there's people coming from other countries with hardships, and somehow they miraculously got here. Not going to question how all that happens, but they're down there helping the sheriff and whatnot. Please check out Patriots at Large on Facebook, guys. Look at these videos, man. Check out what this guy's doing. They've been in this fight. They've been doing prayers. They've been putting together their own private kind of enforcement, Christian enforcement. And that's a wonderful thing. It really is. And I'm happy about that. So hats off to you, Terry Anderson, and all the Patriots down there. Yeah, so there's a lot of shit going on. No doubt about it. Like I said, everybody's kind of like checking in and checking out. Maybe it's dinner time. That doesn't even matter to me. But if you guys want to talk about anything, call in, hang out with me. That's what tonight's going to be about. You could use the messenger service and call me. You know my name, right? It's Michael Anthony. I promise I'll be subtle. I'll do the best I can to remain calm. I won't let everything get to me. Sometimes I do. But hey, if people aren't fighting for people, then what good are we? There has to be a bigger something better to all this. And again, Beth, don't drive. So I hope you had a good day. I really do. Alcohol free, I promise. But true. All right. So in November, the numbers racked up to 173,000 coming across at the border. That's only what we know about. That's not what they're still flying in. It has nothing to do with any of those things. It truly doesn't. So that's Joe's Open Border for you. I don't know how Texas is going to narrate around the completion, but I think it's only to basically create solvency and protection for their own state. And I don't blame Abbott in any way, shape, or form to do it otherwise, because everyone else needs to get involved in this fight and do what's necessary and stand up. But Texas is going to do whatever they can. And from what I understand, this is all on its way started. So that's just the tip of the iceberg. And there's much more greater information on it out there, too. So look into it. And if you can support, I don't know if they have a GoFundMe page for Texas. Maybe they do. Maybe they have something in place, because this is a huge, huge endeavor. Totally unexpected that this would ever have to happen, and the state would have to do what they're doing. And like Florida, they work alike. They do a lot of things alike, and they fight alike. And that's a good example for America. As the Epstein and Maxwell case ends with much in many details, graphic to nature and more. And they're into their last, you know, segments of the trial. We'll have to wait to see what this outcome's going to be all about here, because they're claiming how fragile Miss Maxwell is and how she's been treated during her incarceration, and complains it's been less than good. Well, look at everybody from code mark letter 10-6. And then today, would somebody get like 45 months? Another one sentenced. There's a young lady that's been in touch with one of the guys that I have on as a guest, who also has been compromised in ways as far as she's had her life taken away from her. She's a single mom with kids, and there's been GoFundMe pages and different things going on for her. I'd like to talk to her to see what the views behind her eyes are, and I have someone working on that. I'd love to hear a direct story, and I think you would too, if I could get her to come on and share some time with us. So I'll go into something this way here. You know, some things from the CDC's own website, we're going to hit that. But OSHA medical mandates and fines are to start around January 10th, 2022. So let's talk some questions in this experiment. Now, even the CDC has posted some questions now with answers. Nothing we didn't know, but maybe not what you're thinking. Like, did the vax ever work? No. Did the second vax work? No. Are the boosters working? No. Do these medical medications protect? No. Will people need more boosters? Yes. If you receive these meds, can you stop wearing a mask? No. If I get these meds, can I still spread COVID? Maybe yes. That was interesting. But it does not stop a thing. So that's what it's telling me. Can I stop social distancing? No. Will I protect others? No. Will it cause adverse effects? Maybe yes. Now, remember, look up CDC. Look it up. Transmissions stop when vaccinated. No matter how you write it or ask it, it's still no. It does nothing, and it's mandatory, and it's self-explanatory that way. And self-immunity has a 99% cure rate on your own body, thinking smart. Pretty impressive, huh? When you weigh all these no's of what it doesn't do, and the CDC admits it, and then you go back to like vitamin C and vitamin D and zinc, and there are ways to get the other medications that work. Plus, you can make your own remedies like grapefruit lemon. Some people put turmeric in it, turmeric. Maybe it does something for the flavor of the taste. I don't know. And they're making it like teas and doing little shot glasses after they boil it for 3 hours and strain it and chill it and put it in the fridge. And remember, when you make it, according to what everybody says, it can go bad. So it's got like a good 2-week life expectancy. So if you're feeling down in any way, remember that part of it. So yeah, you can't stop wearing a mask. You can't do anything, even if you've got and received the medication. So why must you receive this? You think you got to think on that. Why would anybody want to do it? If this is truly, how it's supposed to work, it's not working. Why are so many still sick? And we're hearing that they are, So here's part of the whole fight and narrative that we're against. Trying to stay well. And I know many people out there that have been sick. I have people close to me. I talked to a young lady near me. She's a prayer person. She's good. She's honest. They suffered in their family. Even people close to me. I even had family die, to be perfectly frank with you. I have people, that passed away. They want to coagulate your blood, in my mind. And I got something I want to share with you guys on a little meeting that had taken place, and a narrative of push that's been leaking out. Some of it's been on TikTok, some of it's been on YouTube and what, and I shared some of it back at a point. But, here's the bottom line. If you decided to do this, you have no gain benefits, not even within the whole purpose of what the government's trying to push and enforce. Here's what it is, okay? If you decide to get it, it doesn't stop it. We know that, okay? And this version is very little of a fear factor in truth. All right, Delta and the original COVID were actually a higher performing type of virus infection. Okay, now this new one, it still has an issue, and it can come and cause certain things, but it's not a worry wart. It's like in the middle of your forehead, going to show up, and you're not going to be able to go anywhere and face the world or face the music. So it doesn't stop anything. So it comes down to, no matter what you do, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. So you might want to rethink anything you, feel you need to accept from this government in the United States. Bottom line, you still must social distance, even if you receive it. If it causes adverse effects, too bad, you can't sue. There can be death, and that's at risk. And the CDC even says there's a possibility. So you have that part. Your own resistance will be better. Your own body, your immune system. And that's how I can break it down as simply as I can, if we're not going to get into all kind of medical explanations. And I've shared a lot of stuff, and they're available to read all over the place if you choose to want to do it on any one of my groups or platforms or research groups that I'm involved in out there. And there's plenty of information. I kid you not. So will you have a resistance to this? No. And if this hurts you, again, you're on your own, and that's just where it is. And OSHA's not even going to really step up to protect you as well. Again, remember, that's coming where they're going to start imposing fines on January 10th, 2022 against all the businesses who do not enforce and throw everybody out. Now, remember what's going on in New York. There's arrests going on up there. The police are coming in, dragging people out because people are trying to stand up for their rights to be pure. If you don't have this card, you're not going to be served. You're not going to be guaranteed you can do anything, shop for food. It is turning very bad there. And we're starting to get surrounded with it. You got California out on the other coast, the guy with the balls, they should have called him an it or a she, who's basically trying to just trap and shut down the whole economy in California. So if you look at the East Coast to the West Coast, it's like, it truly is. It truly is. So the other thing is there's no preventing any type of lockdowns with a guarantee. If we were all to say, okay, give me the medication, that doesn't mean anything. They'll jump to climate control, and they're going to put that fear in you and tell you now that, oh, guess what? You are all good little boys and girls, and you'll need to continue to get this or whatever. But we have climate issues now, and we're going to have to put certain areas into lockdown. And that's next. They'll take this as far as they can, and then they'll either dump something very harsh on us, very bad, more than terrible. And you can expect it, because up till now, they've only toyed with us. And then there's a lot of opinions out there that something special is going to happen for Christmas. I can't get any confirmation from anybody, and I kind of know a few people, but I can't get nothing on that concrete. Then they're talking about, that letter, that number that I used, the number 10 / a number 6, had something to do with a big date in Washington where it turned into a disaster, where we couldn't peacefully do anything or, walk in protest. So I want you to these big things, I can't get no confirmation on. As a matter of fact, I got laughs out of it saying it's a nightmare and we can only wish that was true. That's what I was told. So I'm not going to push something on anybody that says anything in any different way. Facebook comments. Oh, okay. Rich Lopez is in. Hey, brother. Yeah, mental disorder. Yeah, you know what? The whole world's starting to get these mental disorders, Richard. You know that. Hearing big stuff coming too. Yeah, I want to talk about that. I'm about ready to drop a bomb to scare the shit out of America. I really am. And I don't want to do it, but sometimes when I give you my gut feeling, it's where it comes from. Well, we know that this new Omicron, and I try to mispronounce it for a reason, is a lie. And we also know now by how it's reacting in people, what it's doing, it could have only been made up. So is it truly that they're going to put us into a climate lockdown, or and was I always right when I said human crop dusting does happen? We have no idea what are in these tanks that they send up in these planes that they spray over. We need to breathe. And if they contaminate the air, we will all breathe it. We will all breathe it. I guarantee it. What happens when you put Prince Charles, Gates, Klaus Schwab in a room together? Expect the worst. Expect the worst. You know, no joke. And be prepared to take some type of action. When they stand and make a world global announcement of a military style martial enforcement compliance that is global and that they must take action, there is a worry to come, because now they've come out of the dark in other ways that expresses a true narrative of where they intend to take America and all you great citizens. Okay. And that's the truth. That's the truth. Now, you're going to have nations that can't afford to go green, as they like to call their plan. It's a kind, generous way of saying we're going to do something to make everything on this globe better. It's a false narrative, just like you have a false light. You can have false light. You can have light and you can have dark. You can have consciousness. You can be fed false light. That's all I'm saying. Careful about who your friends are. Some people say keep your enemies closer. False lights. Okay? Remember. And that's why I put up that post about Marjorie. I looked into it, and it's saying that she even invested in pharma. We need to do some research here and call her out. I mean, there's a lot of people that need called out right now. And that's the truth of the matter. So anyway, we get announcements like this, okay? And we know in our hearts the truth and what we're faced upon and with in this time. And it's mind-blowing. So here we are fighting it all the best way we can, trying to do the best things we can do. And I really think that we've all been a test. I've always said that. They're just toying with us. They're toying. Well, here, these remarks that were made confirmed that they have been toying. In this Green Deal, if the nations cannot do their part and don't have the money to facilitate this part for a one world government takeover, is basically what it is. They'll walk all over that nation, and they'll walk all over the controllers of the offices that make any difference. They'll no longer be needed. They'll take matters into their own hands, and they'll attack on any level. My fear is it's going to be through the air, AIR. Not a joke, because in my mind, they've been navigating areas of where to expect things to happen and the highest rates of sicknesses to occur. And it's spot on, better than the weather. And they're controlling that pretty well now, too. When they say 3 o'clock, by 3:05, it's raining. We didn't have things like that a few years back. It was all over the board. That's because they were tampering with it. Well, it was all over the board. And they were fine-tuning it and figuring out how to make it work more accurately, and they have. Not a joke. It's just like turning on the mountains of, Seven Springs or one of these mountain resorts in Colorado. It doesn't matter. When they want to make snow, they can make snow. Well, let me tell you something. They have the ability to spray whatever they want on us, and then they can turn it into turmoil. There's patents out there, which actually Richard Scott sent to me and narrated me through something on a patent from years ago on technology of how to create tornadoes and more. So if they could spray something and it's up into the clouds, okay, lingering into the clouds, they can then heighten the enforcement of how they want this 5 to work. And I'm just calling it the number 5. And then they can create winds. Well, these winds come down. All winds drop. They drop in gradual segments, and they can create it to go in swirls. And we can, believe me, it's an air attack. It's an aerosol attack without a doubt. I'm not joking when I say this, when I tell everybody that, the possibilities that they have been doing this from the air. It's because it's what I narrated, how I found out, where they were talking about, where they foreseen issues to occur that did occur. At least it was put out through the media on a platform saying and stating and backing up exactly what was released. So, and I'm not saying they're talking about what was released from the plane, but you can imagine, because, how's it getting worldwide spread in 5 days? Come on. It lands in one place. There's one case. Then suddenly in one state, there's 700 got it in one day. It has to be being distributed in a different mannerism. Because what I have found out by people I've talked to, even here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I'll listen up on this, and this is no joke. I know somebody, a young lady. She's not even young no more. I'm old. She's old. Okay. I'll put it to you that way. And that's the truth. All right. Never leaves her house. Family brings her stuff, stays home all the time. Okay. Very seldom does she even see her family. She doesn't like the troublesome them. Well, the last couple of weeks, she's been alone. The only thing she did was went outside to do gardening and so forth. Okay. Right when this new one came along, pretty much came along, she saw nobody. She came down very sick. If you're in contact with nobody, where is it coming from if it's not in the air? I'm just saying. All right. This isn't the only person that I talked to that has been saying things like this. And my vibe is truly that we are being human crop dusted, and we have been all into a test here. They have a different way to get to us. And what I foresee by what Prince Charles has even stated, a worldwide military style martial enforcement compliance, globally take action. It's what we need to do. Then you have big names, the biggest names of money in this meeting, Boris Johnson there, everybody looking on. And, it's kind of a hard pill to swallow. But guess what? We haven't complied. We have resisted everything. We say no to everything. We question everything, and it pisses them off. They're pissed. They're highly pissed. I cannot wait to hear what Joe has to say tomorrow, because he's going to put a direct attack on every one of us who are pure, because our immune system works better than the miracle that they created, which is no miracle by any means, but that's the scenario that we truly sit within. So it's up to people to take action. The bottom line is, if they have taken a new measure of method and figured out how to deliver it, and now know that they have success in doing it, which I truly believe we need to open our eyes to this. Again, this is my opinion. You don't have to agree with it, but I guarantee you, I have followed a pattern and kept my mouth shut while doing it in many case scenarios. And it makes you just wonder, because it all fits. This was an easy puzzle to put together. I've been through some other ones where I made some statements and people even said that's kind of hard to swallow. And we got there. It happened. It occurred. We lived it. And it's still navigating through these issues that had happened that I brought up. Now, I'm not telling you I'm going to be right here, but I'm telling you all the information fits it oh too well. And when you talk to 2, 3, 4 people, in my case, I can even give documentation of some of my messaging that came to me. How are people getting sick within their own homes, just going outside to get mail? Taking their dog outside in their own yard, on their own property, not really going out shopping, having boxes dropped off, letting them, taking precautions as well. The one lady said to me, I don't even bring this stuff in. I get a broom, I push it aside, make sure it's going to be safe. I wait a couple days because, remember, they said things could live on surfaces. This lady was being very smart. Okay? Mysteriously sick with some type of flu. In some cases, Not in some, but in one case, a loss of smell but not taste. So a variation of little different things that all fit. But how do people get sick when they're not having contact? Please think about what I'm telling you. When you look up in the sky and you see all these lines that just form this gray wash throughout the whole sky, and then winds come and all these other things, keep an open mind of element here. People with no contact to nobody should not be getting sick, right? You choose not to be by people. People are the carriers, or are they? Okay? They've been toying with us. And I foresee in my mind that something much more devastating is going to happen because they're not happy with us. We pissed them off. We stood our ground. They're done testing us, and they're going to start some type of push. Expect Joe to narrate around a little bit of what is to occur tomorrow. And I'm sure he's going to attack us, the pure ones, very, very hard. And hey, no disrespect to anybody that thought they should have it and made up their mind because somebody in their family was sick and they didn't want to get them sick. They fell ill to the lie. They wanted the protection. They didn't get it. People, and the majority are still, the ones who have received are the ones who are getting sick and sharing. Okay. They want us all to get sick. That's the bottom line. What's going to come next? What variant? And every variant that we do know of now had mutation capabilities. Mutation capabilities that with a high survival rate that lingered some mysterious way. You think by now, if creativity of minds, of good minds, created something, if in fact there's no need for 5-year longevity testing of something, could have come up with something a little bit better, but it's blowing up in their face and they're going to strike us back. They really are. Again, what the part that I have shared tonight to say to you guys, you can be willing to accept it or think I'm just another nutcase out there. And I'm trying not to be any of it. I really tried to evaluate the information. How's this mysterious substance? And I've heard this in the past as well. So this is nothing new. This is what put my attention to it. When Delta was coming in, I followed the trail too. And believe me, they gave the trail. They've always given what expectations you may see happen. So these experiments were already tested in ways. There's no joke on that. They didn't care because it served the purpose of the position that they have, that they want this world from us. And the one thing that I got to reflect back into and on is the fact that, what's the purpose behind all this? I mean, if you truly want to wipe out everyone, if you want to look at it that way, I mean, Jesus Christ, what are you going to do with this place? This is a big world. I mean, if we were to all get mysteriously vanish, take down, whatever, I'm trying to just watch words here. What is it all? Who's it for? They working with something different? Trump even said something significant. He says we need a savior, and they were all looking at him from how he was speaking. He says, "Oh, not me," and he's pointing up in the sky. He's pointing up in the sky for a while, and then he says, "Oh, God," and that there will be some type of like somebody's going to step in of a greater power. What is this? Why is this all reflecting this way? Without us on Earth, no money, their power of takeover means nothing. Well, I get what you're saying, Sheila. I get what you're saying. But maybe they just haven't finished toying with us. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying you're wrong. And they have taken a percentage already. We can agree to that part, no doubt. But is this just the beginning of something? Let's face it. We've all been in a test, correct? We can agree to that. This is an experiment, whether you took it or not. You still witnessed it, so you're part of it. I don't know. This is a big thing. And I agree with you that they're not trying to take them all out on once. And here's how I know this, Sheila, to be a fact. When the bottles come packed into 24 packs, not all bottles contain this miracle. Not all bottles. No. Some are placebos. Some never get it. Why? If they were to give it to all at once that took it, that would have been devastating. It would have been devastating. And let's format something different. Okay? So let's say 80% were clean, 20% weren't. That's why we're seeing the numbers we're seeing, just as you're describing right now, a low percentile range. Don't be true out there. Yeah, saline, you can look at it that way, okay? That's been subjectively discredited in some ways, but not by me. You might want to look into Dr. Tenpenny or Von Bosch or a couple of the higher up people that made some comments related to that, because the bottles were gotten, testings were done. We've seen these things in them under laboratory lights and magnetics and different scenarios that way also. It's creepy stuff, right? So if they injected everybody on the millions that they had, what would we have now? A majority in America, 50%, and I'll give them the gracious of 50%. That would be a large number right now for the American people to swallow. But if you can keep it around, 3 to 5%, it's a good start. The theory works in many ways. However, they weren't going to just spill it out in every box. And here, if you get to the mathematics on this, well, graphene oxide's in a lot of stuff, including the swab. Yeah, you do your homework. That's warrior stuff there. Thank you for doing your homework. And, but so the swabs, that's an issue. You stick them up your nose and they do contain graphene oxides on them. And they have these little spike proteins that break off and stay up in your head too. You know about those, right? I could, break those down for you. But so here we are in this plan, and we're having these world leaders now making recommendations to put a more direct attack on to many people out there in the United States and through the globe, to help us become more compliant to this one world government organization that they're putting together and navigating us around. All I can say is this. I'm worried and fear of how much technology is in the sky. That scares the hell out of me, Sheila Shepherd. No lie, with all respect to you and love to you and Merry Christmas and good things. But how do you project something to be in some areas and it happens that way unless you're not testing it in some way and getting it into the air somehow? How are people getting sick in their house, just going into the yard, doing yard cleanup, doing leaves, collecting leaves, things like that, not having any visitors, and they're getting sick? It's unreal. And you're saying you too. So there you have it. I mean, what are we dealing with here? A human crop dusting machine up in the sky that can do more things than just one. They can utilize it to manipulate weather. They can utilize it to make us and deliver contaminants and deadly contaminants if they chose to. We all need to breathe, and that's the fear factor here. These fragments are so small. These nanoparticles are so small. N95s didn't even work. You remember the N95 mask? You must wear the N95. Hi, John Trump. Where'd that go? What happened to that? They don't even wear them. And then when they have them on, half their masks are down over to their chin. Their nose is uncovered. Come on. This is ridiculous. We weren't getting sick. We were getting better until they went into another new milestone of we got to release something different. Well, I think the test is coming to an end here in a way. I really do believe that, because I think now they're putting this into the weather factor. And I wouldn't be surprised if, in any way, if, tomorrow Biden tried to push some lockdown component or utilize the weather to do it. Yeah, I know they're contaminating everything. And here, look, let's take off them human crop dusting us. Let's just say that that's not the case on a high level of wrongdoing. Even though I don't believe that anymore, I just don't. It all verifies. Um, I've been watching it happen for years, probably just like you have, Sheila. And where I'm at with this is it's getting in everything. And I told people this 2 years ago, what was going on. I truly did. I got laughed at about it by many of my friends. You know, you're nuts. This doesn't happen. And they're not spraying nothing up there. You're just looking at the exhaust of a tailpipe on a plane from the jet engine. It's like, no, that's more than that. I'm seeing it. I'm watching it cloak the sky if I keep watching. Things don't happen like that. But anyway, this stuff falls. And then the animals feed. So grass fed beef is consuming all this, right? The turkeys pecking at the ground looking for bugs, and so it's all over it. And it truly is. If you take a credit card and scrape your window with it and put a magnet up to it, you'll see little particles start to come together. It's unreal. So all these things are in our food sources. We have arborists and the tree services saying how trees are dying. Christmas trees are falling apart in their stands right now. Now, does that have something totally to do with it? One of the affected trees were white pines, yellow pines, Scotch pines, Douglas fir type. And so I know these because I read what I was hearing back from people. It's in everything, yes. And then we have that in foods, including aborted cells, fetus cells, okay? And McDonald's, I don't know what that's all about, but there was a release on what they call a material data safety sheet that describes what's in the element of their fast food products and hamburgers because they are flavoring everything, okay? And it's sad. 5G kills. Hey, Richard Scott's on, aka under Richard Lopez. He's been a guest with me. He's a rock star. This guy is Mr. Information. I love him to death. He's in the middle of a move from a crisis state, California. And I'm not going to say where he's moving to because that's nobody's business. And I would share it with you, and he can do that himself. But he's heading out of there, and he just did. So he's not been able to be on the show, and he's just a rock star. We're going to get him back in as soon as he gets his room set up. It's been a big move. When you're moving state to state, it's a hard thing. So everybody, Richard Scott's going to be back very, very soon. You know you're going to be back. The 10. There you go, brother. It's, you know what? This panel of 10 is going to be so important that I'm putting together. I mean, I'm looking for specialists in a lot of ways, but not just that, man. Not just that. I'm trying to put a little bit of an entertainment format into it because in this format, it's informational. I'm trying to get into your minds and say, wake up and take these theories very seriously because they got us here. They were our mass dump of information when all this started. It was all the conspiracy theorists. It didn't just appear, you know? And then the happy trail started. The research groups got developed and people got interested. Look where we are now. I mean, there's like 65 research groups just in Messenger service, 35 who I'm affiliated with personally. And then there's like all these groups across Facebook. So you have to look where people are. And sometimes you got to retreat these people back into the politics end of it. I'm working on it. You know, because we, in some ways, look, man, when you have 1,000 people in a group and 2% is the carry of the group, the productivity of the post, there's something terribly wrong. One is the algorithms. One is they do redirect people and make them forget that you exist. I get that. This is why it's so important to share, follow, and subscribe something of great support. That's why, like, Wendy Bell's going through what she did. But she's a rock star. She got a lot of support from people, and she's going in a different direction under a higher thing. And guess what? She's going to make a hell of a lot of money doing it. So I'm sure she's saying thank you all the way to the bank now because that's like rubbing it right in her constituents' faces that all fired her. Does she deserve it? Yeah. But, you know, everyone has to remain with this in mind. We're doing this for the better of the people. It's, you know, I mean, I do anything I can on my platform that helps the betterment of the people, a purpose of a business and more. I have a young lady down in Charleroi who I just met, and I'm getting a format together with her to try to help her in her tanning business. She's a rock star. She's beautiful. I joke not. And I'm not saying I never met her. I'm talking about in a heart-to-heart conversation. I've never talked to anybody so passionate about their business. And I'm going to get some information posted to everybody. And I gave her a link to one of the other pages a lot of people don't know I have. American products made by Americans, or that function around American type of people. It doesn't matter which state you're in. If you do have a business and it's hurting, let me talk about it on here, man. Give me your information. Please, give me your information. Let me help share your name to keep you functioning in this dilemma that we're in. Maybe people just don't know that you're still out there existing because of what they did. They've narrated everything. They reduced the population of everything. The population of small business, the population of people. I mean, the list goes on. They depopulated the law. They defunded the police. It's all a depopulation control mechanism. We do know that. We can all agree to that. So where do we stand on how we fight back? If you go into my theory about what I feel is going on up above us, for one, it's hiding their new military systems that they don't want you to know about, that they have, okay? So if you're seeing things out there, and we are seeing worldly sightings now of certain things, to the point where the government even had to say, yeah, we may be being visited by somebody else with much more potential of aerodynamics and diversity than we could ever have. And I'm not trying to get in a format of saying, hey, suck you into some UFO information here. That's not the case scenario. Look at the multiple layers of what this project has done. It hides planes. You hear them, but you don't see them, do you? Think about this. You don't see what they don't want you to see. You barely see a moon anymore. They cloak the sun because why? The sun has healing properties to it. This is a very huge scenario that we are in this country, and not just here. I've always said it, and I said 2 years ago, watch this become global. And I really said that to people. I said, watch this become global. And it did. I go back and look, please. Go on Facebook. There's hundreds of videos, no joke. And I put information out there by voice of my opinion and thought, just going with it, because I felt the narrative was like it, and I shared it, and it just like blew me away because, yeah, right. I get what you're saying, but it's true. There's more than one thing that they do with this device. It's not just about tornadoes, high wind storms, lock down climate areas, move people from them because it's eminent domain now. They're too dangerous for people to live within. And if you go in and you check all this history of drilling, man always liked to drill, okay? And scientists drill for many years now, for a long time, without a doubt. And they pull these cores out. And there's fascinating things in these cores. They can find volcano activities in the ice and other meteor fragments. They know things that have happened, as well as how to justify how the climate works. And over 120-year core, they go through it and check the frequency of everything in it, and the ice and the melting and how the weather worked and all the layers, because it's just beautiful layers of blue and white and crystal and sometimes black, which is catastrophic, which means, you know, the Earth's sun was kind of like shadowed out. Not good by any means. But they know every 120 years we go through this, and they're using that as part of the device. And they really, higher consciousness, frequencies, your mind, your thought, freedom of speech. It's the frequency of thought. Before a word ever leaves your mouth, it's because your mind was in thought. So they never wanted to suppress your voice. And they allowed that slogan of narrative to occur. The point is, they were killing your thought. They wanted to shut people's thoughts down. Don't think this. See, that was the more important essence of it all. Do not think this. You don't have the right to think this no more. And that's why they steal our rights, tear up our constitutional rights, and these valuable papers that we look and love at 1776 in the spirit of. And let's not forget about Jonathan Garcia, okay? The young man down in Georgia running for governor. They wouldn't even put his name into the platform. He signs up to run for an election, pays his dues, does all he needs to do, registers to be in the, and they won't even share his name. He's got more exposure from me here at Studio 10 Broadcasting, doing things with him, trying to follow him the best we can because he's grassroots orientated. He's a one-man machine doing all its own work. He's gathering some people. He's gaining steam. There's some people starting to notice him, and there's a vibe coming. And I hope to do a show with him and get him to sit down on a one-on-one and talk about guns and some of the other issues, because there's narratives of people all through Georgia with different ideologies of things that they want to see happen, and they should. And I know that Jonathan's the type of guy that wants to be able to sit down and understand what the people want, because if he was ever to get into office, and I hope to God he can, he's up against a lot because Trump did not endorse him. Trump overlooked Jonathan, and, there's a plan somewhere, I guess. But Jonathan should stay strong in this, because it all comes down to what? We the people. And how and what we the people want. And if the people of Georgia want Jonathan, Trump will acknowledge that. We need to work harder to help Jonathan get to that point and make him notice to where the phone rings and Trump's on the other end of the line and says, okay, let's work together, because the people want you. And I know then Trump will step into the picture, and, but for now it's Purdue. He's the one who got the endorsement. Well, here at Studio 10, I endorsed because Purdue was nowhere to be found. Purdue didn't want nothing to do with it from everything that I learned. Jonathan did. And Jonathan stood up first, and he went after it. Now, it didn't get him any media. It didn't get him any insight to the American people, what was going on. So we have to remember this. This is how the world is. And I'm not saying that Jonathan got walked on here. I'm not trying to dog Trump here. Okay, all I'm saying is if the people want this young man, they need to use their voice. And your voice is your vote, and your vote will be your voice. And I'm hearing more on Jonathan come out of people from Georgia than I am from Purdue. And that's the truth. People knew I was narrating and creating things with Jonathan, trying to help him to get notoriety through Georgia, because they were suppressing him. They even took his page down, or, removed some of his things that he was working with here on Facebook. So I think once the message is strong and clear, Trump's going to pick up the phone and make a phone call either right through here to Studio 10 or to Jonathan himself. And I'm not saying that is to be laughed at as a joke. I guarantee you that will be something that will have to happen. However, to be clear here, the people, if they want something, they need to get it. They need to go after it. The grassroots are important. Trump promoted that. This young man was from grassroots with all those narratives. And all I'm saying is this. I'm not calling out anybody here, but I'm not going to step away from an underdog that had the best of intentions for the people of Georgia. I'm going to stand by him all the way till the end, okay? Good or bad, whatever the outcome. That doesn't mean at the end of the day that Purdue can't win. But the possibility exists if the people want Jonathan, he will win. And that's a good thing if we, the people, control the vote. Trump has always promoted that to us as well. The tools are there. We take them, we use them, we apply them. We can make them work, and it's not by sitting behind here. And even I have to get up from behind here, and I go and I talk with people. Sometimes I visit people. I promote Toes for Toys. I try to do things that make a little bit of a difference to help comfort a child, bring a smile to a child's face. I mean, I've done things I believe for all the right reasons. Hell, I married people, and that's the damn truth. Yeah, I got potty mouth. So what? My thought is this, in truth, as long as you don't direct ill thought, words don't mean and don't equal a sin. However, words do have power, and you have to control how they're used in all instances. And that's the best way to put it. Sheila, you've really been like hanging on here. It's all about frequencies. And yeah, I really do agree with that because the sound and frequencies and everything kind of fit together in that narrative. A lot of ins and outs tonight, but I do appreciate everybody that did step in. And I didn't really publicize I was coming on tonight. I didn't expect much to happen. Some people, they just go online. There's 1,000 people there. I don't have that case scenario, although I get thousands of viewers. I do, but I don't get that case scenario. And again, it's Christmas. People are at Christmas shopping. Some people are leaving to do other things, and that's also important too. People have to live life that way. I'm surprised I didn't hear from Big Ed tonight. Big Ed's a rock star. He calls in just to share conversation, and he's very intelligent. He knows how to get me to rah, rah, rah. I think intentionally he does it. Anyway, he takes care of Patriots of God. It's a group. You should look into it. You should join it and whatnot. Hey, Randy Rhodes, how are you? So, yeah, we're surrounded in all these narratives and more. I've done shows with Randy Rhodes as well. And now here's a guy with a voice, and he's very clear. And I understand his voice. He's been on shows with me. He's a rock star. We have different views, but we respect each other at the end of the day when we get off the couch together discussing things. And we're not far apart. We're not far apart. We're really not. We're like right there. We're just trying to figure out how to mend this whole issue of America. But I really feel that America's just been threatened. And I think the threat's going to come through air. And it's going to be, again, as I'm saying, as I'm putting out there, you might want to call a few of us nuts out there who are pushing this narrative. Didn't come from Mel K, didn't come from Dr. Charlie or Simon Spartan. Believe me, they had dates, times, all this stuff out there for months, and it all blew up in their face. And it really, really did. Okay. And maybe it was supposed to happen like that for a minute. The point is this, if we try to stay on the fence and analyze what comes in front of us, we can sometimes do a little bit better of a job. In our jobs that we do here, first off, it takes a lot of balls to get up here and do this every day and make statements. And everybody needs to know that it's time for the tinfoil hats. Maybe in some ways, but you might want to put some of that tinfoil down over your face, okay? And I'm not saying you have to be ignorant to you. I'm telling you to be very cautious. You missed some of the show, and you may want to listen to why I'm saying that to you, Double R. And that's the truth. That's the truth. I really have a worry there because when people use words like worldwide military-style martial enforcement compliance and its global action must be met and taken. What the hell would they make an announcement like that against countries in America and globally for? It means something worse is going to come. Something worse is going to happen. And I don't want to blow everybody's Christmas hair. I'm saying think smart. Because every breath, the one thing where they can, and one way they, all right, none of us want to take this thing. Some of us have. Everybody's right. You come here, you do what you do. For whatever reason, for whatever you're looking for. Point still is, we all need to breathe. And they know that technical factor. What will be within our next breath? It makes you wonder, how did they get to every single person? And even if they were, some will live through it. Mind you, that can happen. Some will get care, urgent care. Hopefully they won't be judged because they didn't take this miracle medication. I'm driving back to Cali, just got all my stuff moved out of sight. So that message just came through from Richard Lopez. He was on listening to us for a while here, a.k.a. Richard Scott. And he needs to hide behind names because, as I said, he's a whirlwind of information. And when I get on the show with him, we forget 3.5 hours just went by, I mean, honestly. But okay, getting back to Randy and the tinfoil hats. Randy, keep more of an open mind there. It might be worse than that. The Democrats are broadcasting a very bad winter and Christmas. They have something planned. Again, weather related, of course. Conditioning. See how they're prepping you. They've done it with everything. And that's how I was able to trace where all the breakouts of this Omicron came from. They actually did the same thing with Delta. They projected the areas most hardest to get hit. How did they deliver that remedy? How did it skip states and jump to the middle of the United States without infecting anybody coming across? Now, you tell me that, everybody out there in America. All right? You're in the Midwest, in the middle of the country. Here's California, way over here. Okay? And then on the East Coast over here, you know, you got your coastal region, New York and whatnot. And it jumps. Aerosol, human crop dusting. They know it. They toyed with us, and they've just been playing with us. We haven't seen the worst of anything yet. I'm telling you, I'm a little worried about what Biden's going to say tomorrow. And if he doesn't lock us down over this contaminant, which we already know has come out, and I posted the information from very good people, best credentials out there, and they've already just disclosed on Fox that this is just a farce. Another fear factor, they were hoping, I guess, that for it to be mild, to not take an adverse action against us for non-compliance of everything. Now, listen, when they make the next move, it doesn't matter if you had this miracle put in your side of your arm or if you didn't. Whatever they do, it's for everybody. Okay? They're not going to pick us out and divide us up and say, okay, the pure ones over here, all the ones that got the vaccination to this side, now we're going to poison these. No, it's not going to happen that way. They don't care that you took it because you don't matter to them. What mattered to them is you helped the money and relationship to better the powers of people in this moment, in this time, for the years in front of us. But by 2030, these years are not going to matter. We will be in a mode of depopulation and the breakaway according to their ideology and thoughts and narratives. That's why it was the big 2030. Did anybody see these big things where they all came out like little boys and girls, all the higher ups of the world, including our embarrassment of a president? And they stood and they watched this big screens up. Well, he probably thought he was watching the Looney Tunes, but anyway, and maybe even playing a part to it. Nevertheless, they all stood there in places, separated from each other like little tin soldiers of boys and girls, okay? And they were dropped all this information because there's one world leader doing it. And again, is it all for him or is it for somebody else in that one world leader, Mr. Global? I beg to differ with everybody. But if you go on my pages and you look, you'll find more information. It'll explain some things too. You truly will. Yeah, I don't know. You got anything else, Randy? I'm a little bit bored here. I need some questions or call-ins. And remember, if you want to call in, you can call in through Messenger. Don't be shy. No one will see you. Just call in. Let's talk. Let's share some information to the American people. Let's make a vibe happen here. And Izzy's back. Hello, Izzy. How are you, dear? Do you want to call in and talk? I know you're disgusted with New York. You're trying to get the hell out of that roach-infested hellhole up there. Not roach-infested by little varmints, although they exist. You know what I'm talking about and the effects. And you have a lot of information. You're right there in New York. You want to share any of it? Call in through my messenger. I'll answer for you. You know I will. So anybody's welcome to do that if they want. Or if you, by any chance, would like to have the direct line, I can put up a direct line too. I don't track trace calls, okay? That's what they do. And if you want to make the government work a little bit harder and see another part of their plan, Phil, take cash out of the bank after your money's deposited. A lot of people don't get paychecks no more. It's direct deposit. Go get the cash and try to utilize as much that they can track and trace you on. Make cash important again because they're trying to destroy it. You know that already, all right? Yeah, okay. They're trying to remove the dollars out of the system so they can monitor and watch every move we make. So if you go to the bank and you take out $1,000 to go food shopping with, fill up your gas tank, or let's say it's $300, it doesn't matter. Don't let them see what you're doing. Make the dollar count. That way the stores have to keep taking it. If you stop using cash, they succeed. Use cash. Don't let them succeed. I'm telling you, it's not being made up. Everything that they do and everything I'm telling you is for a reason, a purpose. I just hope that it sinks into everybody and they accept it, because to me, it's important that we do. If I ever get free of this nightmare, I promise you, I will join you in celebration. You know what, man? I wanted to have a Christmas party and invite aliens to it because I can do it. I have the ability to make something like that work. However, nobody can just do that. I mean, just, hey, let's travel 5 states away. Mike's having a party. But I would love to do that. I would love to entertain everybody and just, like have a weekend event of just joy and celebration and victory. And, there will be a day. We're going to have a day. And we're going to make people pay. But again, I'm not going to hypothetically put a date or a time out there because I don't know how to do that. But I will say this. Trump did put out some nice indications of several things. But, you need to listen to it and come to your own conclusions there. Because I truly believe we don't need high up representatives in the White House and the military to try to control us or try to control the military. Because I do believe that there's something of more light and more power that is being promoted and absorbed. And there are people, very smart, intelligent people, warriors in our military who are on board to do better and stand up. But I don't know why it's not happened yet. If you do reflect into what I posted in Trump's little segment where he was at a church, a place of Christian prayer, he made a couple statements and he isolated around a topic of military. You know what? If our military stands up against the 2 nut juice bags up in Washington, D.C., Milley and the other one, they can only look at Joe and say, I tried, right? Because when no one listens to the high ups like we are now, that creates failure. So the military can be an component of great power here and to how a lot of this is solved. Are we going to come to that place? I want you to listen to what Trump said and tell me what you think he was narrating around. No joke. I really want you to do it. He gave some indications and clues that something of a greater power would happen and help. That we will save America. 2024. Make sure you check out that one too, okay? Now, that was something directly out of, from what I understand, out of Trump's office down in Florida. So you look into that. Do we have to wait until 2024? Is this going to be a component all done by legal and lawful laws only? Then get into office? I don't know if we'll clearly be able to get into office. They're destroying our election integrity even more right now. They're fighting it down so we don't have a shot in hell. And then when you think about the immigrants, these illegals coming in, they need for nothing. They're not required anything. But yet we are. The American people are being ripped apart and being stripped of all of value and the American dream. And that's where we're at in this. And it's that bad. It truly is that bad. However, if you're an illegal, you can come to the United States and you can get reparation. Is that how they pronounce it? Reparations? Into the thousands of dollars. If that's the case, why didn't my family get in? Why did I get anything? My family got the hell out of Croatia and Poland because this whole bunch of bullshit crap war stuff that was going on, Nobody did anything. You came here for a dream, for safety, for a world. Yes, they get all the elite. Well, of course. And Randy, if you go back deep enough into my videos 2 years ago, well, it's not 2 years, but it's very close. It's a long, long time ago. To me, when all this started to be revealed, I said, this is a build a vote platform. Build a vote platform, all for the Democratic Party. And it really has shown its truth. It took a little more time, but you know what? I'm glad I said it because I love when I get validation. I really do. Has it gotten me anywhere better? Nah, not really, man. I'm just chilling in this whole scenario, trying to keep a method of support out there, trying to show America better proofs of why all this is real. And I have a lot of them. I have a lot. I mean, this goes back to the 1800s where John D. Rockefeller came out and even spoke on this narrative. And then in the 50s, 60s, there was a think tank called Project Lockstep. It was a narrative of a think tank that started the whole facet of the change of this. And that's when it took off. So it started over 100 years ago. And one must ask, how was one so intelligent back then enough to know that we would be in this time, to write what he wrote in that description without having knowledge of somehow almost into the future to know how to do it? That's mind-blowing. And it's fact. I can produce it right now and play it. If you give me some thumbs up, I'll find it and I'll put it on and I'll let you guys listen to a thumbs up on a young lady who revealed a lot of everything. And that means I don't have to read it because I can read it too. Let me find it for you guys. Hold on. I have it here. I promise I have it here. I just need to find it real quick. All right, let's see where we're at. I mean, one of the earlier times that they tried to do something to us was with the Titanic. And a lot of people don't know that there were two ships. One was supposed to go down. And that's another story that you guys should listen. That's why last night was so important. I gave out hints last night that were mind-blowing to help everybody. Okay, listen to this young lady. Because it's truly important.
Perception. Those who will see it will be thought of as insane. We will create separate fronts to prevent them from seeing the connection between us. We will behave as if we are not connected to keep the illusion alive. Our goal will be accomplished one drop at a time as to never bring suspicion upon ourselves. This will also prevent them from seeing the changes as they occur. We will always stand above the relative field of their experience, for we know the secrets of the absolute. We will work together always and will remain bound by blood and secrecy. Death will come to he who speaks. We will keep their lifespan short and their minds weak while pretending to do the opposite. We will use our knowledge of science and technology in subtle ways so they will never see what is happening. We will use soft metals, aging accelerators, and sedatives in food and water, also in the air. They will be blanketed by poisons everywhere they turn. The soft metals will cause them to lose their minds. We will promise to find them a cure on our many fronts, yet we will feed them more poison. The poisons will be absorbed through their skin and mouths. They will destroy their mind and reproductive systems. From this, their children will be born dead, and we will conceal this information. The poisons will be hidden in everything that surrounds them, in what they drink, eat, breathe, wear. We must be ingenious in dispensing the poisons, for they can see far. We will teach them that poisons are good, with fun images and musical tones. Those they look up to will help. We will enlist them to push our poisons. They will see our products being used on film and will grow accustomed to them and will never know their true effect. When they give birth, we will inject poisons into the blood of their children and convince them it is for their help. We will start early on. When their minds are young, we will target their children with what children love most, sweet things. When their teeth decay, we will fill them with metals that will kill them and steal their future. When their ability to learn has been affected, we will create medicine that will make them sicker and cause other diseases for which we will yet create yet more medicines. We will render them docile and weak before us by our power. They will grow depressed, slow, obese, and when they come to us for help, we will give them more poison. We will focus their attention toward money and material goods so they may never connect with the inner self. We will distract them with fornication, external pleasures, and games, so they may be with the oneness of it all.
What's going on now is the single greatest scam in the history of American politics. The Democrats want to take away your guns. They want to take away your health care. They want to take away your vote. They want to take away your freedom. They want to take away your judges. They want to take away everything. We can never let this happen. We're fighting to drain the swamp, and that's exactly what I'm doing. And you see why we have to do it. Because our country is at stake like never before.
So, just a couple little drops of information, but no, this paper was written out in the 1800s. Was this guy some psychic medium? This John D. Rockefeller?
In the 1800s.
I got to turn my volume down on the other control. It's just mind blowing. So I hope you guys heard it. Her voice is very, very mild. Sci-fi or more. You want to hear something that's even more incredible? They tried to do this back at the point in time when the Titanic went down. Yeah, check out this next little tape I have. Check out this next little tape. You guys need to hear this, and this isn't conspiracy theorists. This is proven facts. We know that this happened. We know who was on the ship. We know why it occurred. And when you hear the names, it's going to even blow your minds more. Truly, it's going to blow your minds more. Let me find this real quick, because you guys really need to hear this, because this is factual stuff. I joke not. I don't put anything up unless it is factual, and that I can prove it in some mannerism. So give me a second here to find it. I know I got it somewhere. Hold on. I'm going to do it a different way. I have this big butt-ass list of things, and oh my God, it's so deep. That's the truth. It's so deep. But it's all factual. So let me see where I have it so I can play it for you. Oh, isn't life grand? It really is. It's so sad, man, where we are. Oh, funny, I can't find it. Here, let me look in this other device. Anyway, I don't come on here to try to blow anybody's. Edward is on. Edward Walsh. He's out there somewhere. Big Ed, who always calls in. He's a rock star. He really is. But this is an important clip, and I really do want to play it for you guys. So bear with me. Don't leave the room. Because everything is necessary, man, in life. About what we know, about, what we're perceiving, what we're living through. All right, let me go back here and see if I can find it in my group room. I know I posted it. And if I didn't, I'll post it up. I'll put it on my page. But it's not like I'm sitting here trying to narrate through with engineering sitting in the background, trying to help me with it. I wasn't even supposed to be on tonight, but I just had this urge of importancy because of what the hell's going on and what it all means when these high up people, the highest up people, start revealing and sharing these types of information. So last night, when I played some of the things, or over the last couple nights, I'll say, was probably the importance of it. Did you ever put something somewhere and you can't remember where you put it? That may be what I did. I'm going to give you an apology now while I'm searching for it here. Bear with me. Come on, be there. Nope, it's not in that file. Damn it. Where are you? You know what? Maybe they removed it on me. That happens at times. You ever go back and look for something and it's been removed? Going to be doing a 9/11 series coming up. And I want to see how that takes to these people. You know, if they have a troll come into the room and listen. So, yeah, I'm kind of lost. I got one more place to look. And I apologize. I truly do. Oh, man, I know I had it up there. Where are you? I found it. I want you to check this out, man. For real. Okay? This is important. I want you to listen to this because this tells you how early on this one world government was ready to take its place and create its narrative. And they did. And certain things had to be stopped because there was change that did come to the United States over what had occurred with this. So listen up.
The Titanic was a design of the Jesuit order to get rid of the opposition to the creation of a central bank in the United States.
And the men on the Titanic were opposed to a central bank. They had to die. Among those were John Jacob Astor, Isidor Straus, Benjamin Guggenheim, and a host of other millionaires who were opposed to a central bank in America. Therefore, they had to be taken out of the way. And they were on the Titanic.
The company building the ship was owned by J.P. Morgan, who was himself an agent of the Rothschilds family. The Rothschilds being the bankers for the Pope and the Vatican. The main Jesuit targets were brought on board. The captain of the ship was Edward John Smith. It appears from his actions that Captain Smith was a Jesuit coadjutor, that is, a Jesuit who has taken the oath but does not wear the robes. A coadjutor blends into the scenery and never looks like a Jesuit priest.
Mm-hmm.
It is a veteran sea captain, Edward Smith, who orders the ship to travel through an 80-square-mile ice field at full speed on a moonless night. There had been over 8 telegrams warning the captain of the danger.
He's warned 8 times, slow the ship down, slow the Titanic down, you're going too fast. Not once stopped. Knew there was an iceberg field up ahead, knew that he should have slowed down, but didn't. And so you look and you say, how was it that this man could go headlong into a field of icebergs and not slow the ship down, not be more careful? The only conclusion you can draw is, as a coadjutor of the Jesuit order, right through the line, the chain of command, he was told, sink the ship.
So, I don't make the stuff up I talk about. I research it all. What we just listened to is nothing new. This was placed out there long ago. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind of where we are and some of this. Because it's important. It really is. Information means everything. So it's up to you to perceive it as you will, and you have the choice. Yeah. All right. So Jake Heyman is in, and I think you just sent me a friend request. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. I will get to it. So I gave you some interesting things, okay? But remember, this paper through Rockefeller was written in the 1800s. How did he know such fascinating information and that we would be in a place and time as we are? And if you go into Project Lockstep, that explains place and time. And that's out there. And then there's other narratives and issues out there. I mean, we had a lady on the Jesse Ventura show when Governor Ventura, wrestler, WWF, Navy SEAL man, I mean, really rock star of a life, you know, was out there trying to navigate through all these conspiracies and, create diversity for people to understand and what this whole military industrial complex was built upon. And when you think you know the highest level of a military place, when you think, Sheila, you're talking about the Philadelphia experiment, and there wasn't just one, there was two. There was two ships, okay? And the Martha's Vineyard was the one of importance. That's where they understood how time travel could occur. And they even made a lot of comments to that. Thank you for bringing up the time travel thing. And if you listen to what I talk about on the Dark Radio Network Project, you will find out on YouTube. That's where we talk a lot about what you're bringing up. So this is where you can navigate through a lot of information that clearly represents through the Freedom of Information Act. If you don't have to pay $1 million to get 30,000 pages, they have absorbent amounts of money now to make people turn their head not to want the paperwork. And then if you would pay the money and some, you get back everything blacked out. So it's just criminal what they do, but they control this mechanism, and they always have. The Democrats have never been clean people to work with. They've always been part of the Rat Pack. So listen, some of these things that I have, and I could just, give you a virtual tour of some of this stuff. And, really, I have the capability of putting up a video screen and all that stuff here. I have it planned, actually. I have something planned. It's called A Day in a Year. It's with me, basically. And it's going to narrate all this dirt versus this entire last year. Because 2021 has just been, toxic. It's been nothing less than toxic. So, but all these things are proof. I mean, of certain events that have always taken place. Now, do you think that Titanic was one of the only sinking ships? No. And I'm not talking about on the water. What was 9/11? I have reports. Live video feed reports that I was able to get my hands on. And there was no plane in the Pentagon. The reporter clearly said there was no sign of a plane. It was a sign of an explosion. They thought a missile hit it, which is probably the truth. So I cannot wait to do the 9/11 extraction report that I want to do. Again, we'll be doing that probably on a Wednesday or Sunday night. It will either come through the Dark Network Network Project, or it will be on America Disclosing Uncensored on a Sunday night. And we're in the holidays right now. Maybe it'd be a fun trip to do something like that. But everybody needs Christmas. Everybody needs a day off and whatnot. Hey, Miss Jen Woodruff, how are you? Thank you for coming in. JW, who helps me with all the political views and outlines with Jonathan Garcia down in Georgia. Now, that's a rock star of a lady. It's very beautiful, helpful to me. We have great times that we share together. And hey, so sweetheart, please say hello to Jess. Tell him I'm praying, okay? Just let him know that. Tell him he's in all my thoughts. All you guys are, always. And I love the little creations of all the Christmas things. Nice touch to help breaking the chain of what we have to, discuss and navigate through when we do these kind of shows. Ooh, yeah. Is he feeling strong? Is that what that's all about? The heart, the flag, the 4 arms of strength, like the 4 horsemen, the archangels. Anyway, I'm going to take them as that because that's a good way to look at the narrative of the outlook. So, yeah, when you share things like this that people never find out about or don't know about, again, you got to have a lot of respect for the people that are considered the conspirators. No joke. And as I told everybody, even a year ago, when they were still trying to come to reality on this, I'm like, hey, because the conspiracy theorists were being thrown bones like, they're morons, don't listen to them. That was a patsy name. Oh, they're lost. They're, don't pay no mind to them. The point is, they were the source of the information, and they know it, and that's why they always fought back on it. The narrative had to change, just like every narrative has to change on everything that goes on. So, we are where we are. Anybody got any other questions that we can go over, review anything? Anybody have any information they can share? Oh, Project Bluebeam. And Blue Book. How many projects do you want to know about? Yeah, we've just had so many. And that, again, that's what the Wednesday segment on YouTube does. We narrate through all that. You would probably love that show, Sheila. No joke. We bring up all these topics, okay? And I get a lot of support, too, from some people in national platforms that are out there. They acknowledge me. They do talk to me. I talk to them. If you were to check out some group members, you might see some people are hidden in there that you wouldn't expect. But you got to look through them, some of the groups that I have. So I do get support from those guys. And I do expect after the holidays, because right now there's a little bit of turmoil in everyone's life. They're Christmas shopping. They're worried about tomorrow. They're worried about, are they going to be productive enough for their kids by finding everything that they want? Will everything get delivered in time? So everybody's on kind of like, that's why I'm going to do a year and a day with Studio 10 o'clock talks. And I'm going to do a review, and it's going to be a substantial amount of evidence. I don't know how much they're going to care for me promoting a 4-hour narrative, but I'm not going to do it in the whole 4 hours as well. But there'll be other videos that will be placed if you want to throughout the day or weekend. You'll be able to click on and watch, or you can go at any time to my page, Michael Anthony on Facebook. There's hundreds of videos in there. Joke not. You go to YouTube, 10 o'clock tops, yeah. Tops. Remember Tops? Everybody used to have a pack of Tops. Hey, Randy's still on. Why do all the sci-fi movies that discuss Blue Book run for a year and they get canceled? Well, many shows have done that. Anything that shows anything prudent that concerns information, then they have to suppress and put in place and make phone calls to people saying, yeah, don't renew the contract. Make it look like they didn't have enough views. And we find that anytime there is a good show that makes sense that we want to watch. I'm surprised they haven't knocked Skinwalker Ranch off yet. If any of you guys, and Blind Frog, think about it. We have case scenarios down there that are all over the board. And again, we talk about this not so much on Studio 10, broadcasting 10 o'clock talks here. We talk about that on America Disclosure on Sundays and whatnot. But yeah, that's the whole other narrative of where we are, of what they do. It's suppressing information because someone may be getting too close to a source. And there are great sources out here in America, people trying to do good work, create very intelligent information, and for whatever reasons, they can only go so far. And even if you were to take this, and it's not really on the same page, but it might be, you can conclude on this. A show like Oak Island, it's been going on for 9 seasons now, maybe. I could be wrong on that. Whatever, you can correct me. That's fine. I'd appreciate it if you do. I take it with a grain of salt because I know you're just trying to keep me in line, and I thank you for that. But every time they get close to something, something disrupts something for whatever reason, okay? Is there directional weaponry being used to corrupt some of this evidence? And then you have suppression of proper licensing and certain people of other criterias like archaeologists and different things. These guys have been navigating this island looking for, which some seem to think could be the Ark of the Covenant. And maybe it's there. I don't know. We do know that in the Antarctic, there's a lot of very, very fascinating information, without a doubt, and what could be under the ice. And with deep penetrating radar now, we're seeing things. And don't let them see too much. But you know what? Some things have already gotten out there. Not everybody at NASA does their homework right. Look at the moon. There's early photos that depict and show things that could possibly be ships and more, and statues and faces. So we're in a whole thing here of discovery in our lives. And I think everybody, including myself, I am so guilty. Me more probably than anybody, because I've always told everybody I am so guilty of being a conspiracy theorist, because I love the fascination of the information. And if you look at the Baltic Sea, look at the anomaly down at the bottom of the sea in the middle of nowhere. And even last night, I was in a conversation with Dave Parker, and we were having a great conversation. He seemed to think, and I respect him, that it could have possibly had enough movement to get there, and it could have been a structure. I can't imagine anything moving that far. It's sort of embedded into the ground. And what makes me even know that even more, and I should have brought it up last night, at the bottom of the sea, there's a trail where you can see that it came through, like it made a trail, and the sand, muck, whatever's at the bottom of them waters, and then it came to a resting place. That's even there. It's fascinating. Check it out. I kid you not. The Baltic Sea Anomaly. It looks just like a spaceship would look, in a way. Okay, now I don't know what they all look like, but we've been taught things. Why have these implants of thoughts and what they look like been placed in our minds if we weren't supposed to know on some platform? I've got to run. Thank you, Michael and Beth. Oh, hey, hey, take care. Be safe in New York, sweetheart. Please. Thank you for stepping in. I appreciate you. But Sheila Shepherd is still here. Randy Rose is here. We got a few people in. One day I'm going to turn this on. There's going to be hundreds of people streaming, arguing, having fun, posting. I know it's going to happen. It's going to happen. I just got to figure out how to make it work. But it doesn't matter. I get a lot of views. I just don't get them all at once. That's crazy, but they do come. People do acknowledge. I don't have that ability where I click on and there's a zillion people there, though. Let's see. The oceans are the last frontier. It's a vast place, just like the universe. You're absolutely right, without a doubt. When you think about it like that, what's under the waters? And we know there's so much history under there. And people think well, the pyramids are no, the pyramids are much older than that. Jimmy Church talked about places that were like 14,000 years old and what. Now we know that we're finding things that are even, and evidences are taking us into places of where it looks even, the possibility exists more of places much even more ancient than that. And that's the truth. Lobeke Tepe, you know them. You know that place? I'm sure some people know it. But the oceans are vast, and look at the information. Niagara Falls, they're up there doing work. It's been over the news. They're up there trying to correct the ecosystem and keep everything. Yes, there too. And look at the ancient cultures and the writings. I mean, and look what they did to the Library of Alexandria, Sheila, if you think about it. How many times did that place go down for the betterment of, and who got all that information? The Vatican. The Vatican holds everything of importance because they were a place of power and they were out for themselves. This was never truly about a god or religion. And in some cases, I've heard that the Pope himself even questions God. But remember, we're talking about a Jesuit of selection, not election or placement. He was pre-appointed and hard driven into the minds of all these bishops and cardinals who put him in that place of power. And so even if you go back hundreds of years, free energy, water powered cars, water powered generators. Stuff's out there and people die for it. Look at Stephen Greer's brought to the table on a lot of that. Look at Donald J. Trump's own uncle did when it came to Nikola Tesla. It is said that, he was in the room collecting all the records that Tesla kept on all his experiments and more. Did he truly die or did they make a deal with him? No one really knows that. There's a lot of hype there. We can speculate around it and probably never come to a really good conclusion of truth unless it was to come out somehow by a greater means of source and truth. But so there you, and if, he was part of the deep state. So Trump knows things. I guarantee you Trump knows things. Can we produce free energy through dark matter? Of course. You can get a lot of light matter. Energy is in both places. It can be used in two ways and received in two ways, but can be reversed in both ways to make work. One may just suit us, the other one may have to be reversed. And that's why they reverse engineer everything. Get it? That's the truth of it. I'm hearing about all the kinds of people supposedly deceased that are living. I know. People are getting caught up in a lot of false light. And that's the truth. There's a lot of false light out there. It's sad. Light comes in good ways, and just like dark comes in bad ways. And in the light, you can have that one element of bad who's falsely there. As they described that ship captain aboard the Titanic, who, by all informations and everything understood, allowed that ship to go down because of who was on it, who was a Jesuit priest but did not wear the robe. They hide in public eye, and they don't disclose who they are because it's tight-lipped. Whether you're talking about the Jesuit order, one of the very first earliest orders, the Templars, and that's why the Templars fought against this type of corruption, okay? They were burnt for doing so. That's the other theory of Oak Island. The things of religious artifacts from Solomon's Temple and more that could possibly be on Oak Island. I don't know if anybody's following that. But, if we were to find one artifact up there that was concrete like that, we could fit 100 different pieces of a puzzle together. If we could find out what's there. Now, we do know they found a couple coins and stuff, and it shows that different life sources were there. Piece fragments of bones down in these channels that we're digging. These people should have never been here, but they were. They were here, okay? I mean, take Christopher Columbus off the map here. He doesn't even matter. That's a theory of lie, an implant of what they needed people to know. People were here way before that. I was exposed to COVID-19 through my grandson. It is kicking my ass. So I am jumping off. Have a good night. Are you sure it's COVID? You know these tests don't work. You even said that, Randy. Whatever you have, I hope you feel better. Soup, take a lot of zinc. And someone you know may have ivermectin. Just so you know that. Oh, so Twiggers is online. She's waving. So there's an awakening close by in Pittsburgh. Someone I know in Pittsburgh. Yeah, sorry to hear about that for you, brother. Though I really am, man. Get well. Be well, brother. Be well. Rest. That's what's important. Glad I could entertain you for a few minutes. And remember, I don't fight with you. I fight for you. Me and him always argue. It's good, though. Debates are wonderful, But information is even more wonderful, and that's why I try to expose it out. One of the other reasons I came on tonight, though, to be honest with you guys, is to try to get you to share when you can, to get this platform out there a little bit. I'm going to give a lot of things that are going to be important for a lot of everybody to understand, because we are in placement where they do things for every reason. Let me give you another fact of why that's true and why the economy is where it is. I was in a discussion today with the most beautiful lady, I swear to God, gorgeous woman. And she brought up something to me, and it had to do with car values, okay? So I'm trying not to stare at her too much because she was just a very attractive person. And I kind of told her that, but, I was very respectful. I really was. So we're talking about, how the rise of trucks and all this stuff and cars are going up. And I'm trying to, just get into a narrative. And she told me I didn't need to go so far. But the truth of the narrative is, cars are more than some homes. I mean, if you really think about it now, you can pay $80,000, $90,000, $70,000, $80,000 for a truck. It wouldn't make sense unless they could make the value increase on your used car products. So they got to float inflation to where it makes it look more logical, and it resolves a better confidence in your mind to apply the dollar, that it's insignificant in this case scenario. on buy new versus trade and so forth. So trucks went up this year. They were, let's say they were book valued at like 35,000. Guys who like, did the not purchase, but the lease program. They got like more than half their money back for the lease. They got 3/4 of their money back. So it was like they drove the truck for free. The prices increased on the used market. So the used market could be more enticing for the new market to collect more revenues off new when these vehicles aren't even worth the price. And here in America, we still have 40,000 vehicles sitting all over the place, brand new, that still can't get computer chip components. What are they going to do with all these cars? They're brand new, and there's a shortage in the market for them. But that's the truth. So, another narrative of how they work and manipulate the economy. And it's worked in some people's minds. Some people said, I'm getting $10,000 more for my vehicle. No, they're just offsetting the price. You're not really getting more, even though it navigates it. The point is they get a hit, and they get a hit off the process when you need financing. Money comes from different directions. They don't always make money off the car on the floor plan. And a lot of times they can. Some people come in and pay, what's the price of the car? $53,000, da-da-da-da-da-da. Okay, I have a car outside. Well, they know they're an easy pick. Okay, your car shows it's worth $3,500. I'm sure I could probably get the boss to give you an extra $500. I'd like to get this deal done. And you really don't get a discount. You really didn't get anything more. Okay, at the top of the page, the market's pretty darn good. They try to work it between 27 and 29%. So they're making a pretty good buck. They really are. And then they got the car forever because they know it's going to be on the road and everybody's going to need things. And that stimulates the environmental automotive industry, which they're trying to kill now anyway. So they really don't want to see new cars being operated by, fossil fuels, happen to create fossil fuels to run them. They want to do it off energy. And ask yourself this: when you're sitting in the middle of a snowstorm on a highway and there's an accident, you're going to be in it for 10 hours. What happens to your power when it runs out? When you have no more heat? Because if the car's not in movement and the wheels aren't moving, not everything is working in its potential that self-generates some power. So don't get caught in a snowstorm with your pants down on a cold winter's night this holiday in an electric automobile. They don't work out well. And further, more than that even, we're finding out that these batteries are exploding. And when they go off, man, it's big. These explosions are nuts. They blow the whole backs of the cars apart and cause damage to other things. And then we could talk about Afghanistan for a minute too, just real quickly. We got out of there and it was all for, whatever. Well, we also know that the Biden family has some type of interest in a certain mineral that's over there that China's making the batteries from. So if you want to talk about uranium and stuff, what this whole thing was about, they better have a rocket. Yeah, exactly. But that's the truth of how it works, And again, this whole format is about to take and create a product that will make them global rich. And I don't even get it. It doesn't even make sense. Going back to a narrative of conspiracy, maybe now money is everything to them, acquiring everything in some way. But who are they really acquiring it for if they get rid of all of us? So you have to think about that. If this is all to coagulate our bloods and try to kill us through poisons in the air, etc., who's this going to be for? Some higher power that we don't know about? Clearly owns the solar industry. Well, let's just say he owns a percentage of interest in the minerals that supply to the battery company that he is in bed with, known as China. And think about this. Why is he so concerned about protecting Ukraine when it comes to a border we truly, as America, have no interest in? Well, he's going to get involved because he's in bed with Ukraine. Remember the laptop? Come on. I mean, there's so many things that we could talk into and talk around in these narratives, but it's all factual. It's all true. And this is where we are. Man, I need craft services here. Can I order a coffee through anybody here? Hillary owns Solar Industries. She owns part of them, but yeah, the uranium thing, that's part of the minerals in Afghanistan. That's why, it's not really truly being talked about. And even Trump made mention of it a couple of days ago. But there's a need for a roadway and mines to be formatted there for exactly the purpose that Sheila just put up. So Sheila's really doing her homework. Are you in one of our research groups, Sheila? I mean, if you're not, you should be. Patriot research groups, there's 35 of them out there. I can place you in all of them. However, you wouldn't need to be. If it gets in one, most of the information gets transferred by everybody else as long as you feed it. Then there's like the people out there, very, very good people who share it through all the patriot groups and so forth of America and so forth. But it's important stuff. No, well, you should be. I can place you there. Believe me, there's places out here on Facebook that people don't even know exist that there's groups within. And they're hidden through Messenger and different formats and that's why I hide even myself. And what I call America Disclosing Uncensored. And I lead people to believe it's a fragment of something else when it's not. It's a conspiracy against their conspiracy to fight them back the best way I know how to stay alive. That's exactly why I do it. And that's one of the reasons I use the YouTube format for the radio show, the Dark Radio Network Project. On YouTube, 10 o'clock talks. Go there, subscribe. If you go on my page, look me up, you'll see it. You'll be able to click it. You'll be able to subscribe to it, help build the numbers. I had immense numbers on there and they crushed me. So I'm trying to, now that I fought for it back and I'm getting to start to get posts up and I'm waiting for a lot of my posts to be returned, or I might have to reformat them and promote them back up. And I don't even know if it's all purposeful at this time. You won't be able to see any of the conversations or how many views they had. It would only just repost them probably. It's almost coffee time. I don't know. What time are we getting at about, kids? I don't know. I'm thinking it's probably around 9 o'clock, huh? So does everybody have a tree? Is everybody ready for Christmas? Is everybody baking cookies? I mean, we are all going to clear our minds a little bit, correct? I'm going to be back on Wednesday night, by the way. I don't know if I'm going to just stay dark. I don't know. I'm thinking I'm just going to be on YouTube so I don't trouble everybody on Facebook too much. It's 9/11 according to Pittsburgh time. Oh, I don't like that. I'm doing a show on 9/11. Boy, it's going to be a big reveal. And even comments from Trump on it. No joke. Even comments from Donald J. Trump, the president, 45th himself. And believe me, he was there. I don't celebrate. You don't celebrate Christmas? Listen, it's not the matter of the lights in my mind or the tree. I don't have a tree up. I don't. Okay. But I have Christmas stuff around me. You can see, I'm not all negative. I have family and kids. So, I have to, I'm a grandfather. I don't have kids. So I have kids. I said that wrong. But anyway, if they show up, I don't want to look like the total Scrooge. But anyway, to me, it's what I was brought up on and what family values mean. And I just try to promote that the best I can. Do you believe in the 25th of December or do you believe in the date of April? Do you believe he had a twin brother? Oh, man, I'm so deep on so many things. I'm sorry, Sheila. I'm not testing you, dear. I'm just making conversation. That's all. Making conversation. Hey, we got 5 people in the room. That might be a record. It might be record. Listen, I didn't think it would be much tonight anyway, to be honest with you, because people are so out socializing and so forth. I don't know nothing about September. I truly don't. The oldest books speak of something different than that. I know my son was born in September, but that doesn't make him special, But anyway, I'm not trying to be I'm trying to be respectful here, just trying to create a laugh. But no, I don't know nothing about a time, place of September. The information I reflect to has to do with something a little bit different of record. And records are not completely correct. We know that. We can agree to that. Remember, all books, as I tell everybody, were written by the hand of man after the event, not by the person of it living it. Stories were provided to students who wrote, and the elders would stand there and narrate the stories as they would be put down on different types of ledgers and so forth, whether it be copper or emerald or, whatever, the tablets. So, and there's many forms of them, and many found. So there are so many truths out there. There are. But some of them are also misunderstood in some ways, because some of the usages of putting language down as they did were not totally, how do I want to say this? This doesn't come from me. This comes from scholars. The way I understood it, sometimes what they put down was how they depicted a scenario that we still haven't quite figured out. All the vowels, consonant, letters, etc., etc. So we even make a little bit of mistakes out there as to how our specialists that look into the ancient languages and stuff can translate it all through all the hands of time and bring it into current English as we understand it. But I would say a good 95% of it is totally accurate as to everything that they put into English to where we understand it. Which in a way, you bring up something that's kind of wild too. And I know it sounds like, in a way, you may be a little bit on board to this. I watched the show a few times and I really got intrigued by it, where there was a hypnotist and he studied people in what's the word? Regression. He hypnotized them and took them back into past lives where some people spoke of ancient languages that they're not even spoken their own lands anymore. And I thought that was pretty wild, to say the least. So we see many truths of many things and many different narratives used for how information is proven. And this particular show, you can find it, I believe, on YouTube. It's pretty cool, where they regress these people and they take them back in time to regress their lives. In some cases, they're no longer a man, they're a woman. In some cases, they're no longer a woman, they're a man. He always makes sure he asks these questions like, look at your hands, look at your feet. That helps him, I guess, to help them identify. Many people don't remember coming out of the regression what they even said, and then he records the whole episode with them because they're pretty much in a blackout state, hypnotic state, regressing. And then he does the investigation on their information, and he shows it, and it's really, really cool. I'll get that for you, Jake. I promise. It is fascinating. No joke. One lady went back like 3 lifetimes, and they proved every fact of how she lived, who she was. It was just, to me, watching it, it was so interesting. And then, you know what? Just like Randy said, what happens to these shows when you look forward to the next season? They're gone. Why? Does it help get the truth that they don't want us to know, where something else could be seen? I mean, I don't know. There's pictures out there in this world where people are in places with cameras around their neck, certain sunshine glasses, and they're in a picture and they don't belong in the picture, but they were caught in time in a picture. And our own government does supposedly these tests. Now, I don't want to say supposedly. I have information. Yeah, well, people are all recycled in ways. Here, since you brought that up, I'm going to give you a really cool analogy that I have. We're fighting this right now for people, right? We can all agree to that. And our strength is, as I've always promoted for the last 2 years, before many thought of it, and that's a fact, we need to do something for the children. this is going to have an ill effect into the future, and the people and the place and the children are our future. Even Gen W promoted the hell out of that really hard. Maybe she told me it. I don't remember. The bottom line is it was something I believed in. And if you look at rebirth in ways and stories of it and reincarnation, we may be just a product of the children coming back. So if we don't cure this issue, what are we coming back to? Will we even want to come back? I mean, spiritually, we use this body. Some love their bodies and faces and minds. Others don't. Some will never want to return in the same way that they did. And I don't know if there's a choice there, but if in fact true that there is a true spiritual recyclement of the light, of the energy, which seems to happen and occur around the 49th day of the pregnancy, by the way. True fact. Because there's something different in the tests that prove that. Right. It is so sad for the kids. But if we're recycled, we'll be the kids. What do we want to come back to? Just saying. I know it's a little mind-bending. We may be the kids in some ways, if this is all said and true. As we know, if you look at the book that says he's made us in his own image, not by facial features, not by how we're built. It had nothing to do with that. He places you as light equal to him. To me, that's the fact. The truth of how we are alike in his image is the fact that we are one with him. We are everything as he is, although separated and then put into containers such as we have these bodies. And that makes us who we are in his image. We function different. We function independently, which then says, in a way, we are here for all of a purpose: to learn, to fix what we don't understand, to make a better chance the next time around. And when we go, we will see all the issues and errors. And no matter the problems or sins, be always welcome back with love and open arms, as if nothing ever mattered. But at least the experience was meaningful. There's the saying from JW: the children are just 20% of the population now, but 100% of the future. And Jen, you just might be the child in that future. Remember that. The harder we fight now, if all is true that we understand, and that some would like to believe, everybody has the right to choose, we all may be coming back. What are we going to come back to unless we help fix this all now in this lifetime? We need to correct it. We need to put a focus on the light, on the spiritual energy of good. There's no doubt about that. I've never been the best guy in my life. I haven't. And I'm not trying to tell you I'm in any better of a place now to be or say that I'm a better person. But, the more we try to resolve and fight for the people of America and the globe, the entire globe, and that we create this vibration of people and strength together, all for one and one for all globally, to create a culture of one personality of the world. And we will come to that. There will be a point in time that there will no longer be red skin, black skin, white skin. We will be a culture of all as one together, of one DNA. And that's the whole truth of it. The Terminator world. Well, yeah, there's ideas of movies that depict things and where we're going. And that's why I always say, when is technology too much, sweetheart? You got to think about it. When is it too much? Because it's pretty bizarre, right? It's pretty bizarre. Think about it. Testing of bombs and explosions and the invention of nuclear powers and nuclear warheads. These things need to be taken from our hands, and our leaders need to be slapped upside their heads. Well, and you can't blame the ones now. Maybe they're better off just sitting where they are, not being touched and isolated somehow and controlled. Maybe that's why we're visited in some cases. And there's so much talk about certain objects and entities who are overlooking us. Maybe that's what Trump referred to the other night when he says something of a greater power will help. And what was he referring to? He just said that statement. Um, you know, again, listen to that. And I do have it. I'd play it, but I don't want to bore everybody. I just got back up to 5. We had 3, so now we got 5 back in. But anyway, it's always fun. I enjoy what I'm doing. If Biden has his way, yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, this is that again, not to bring it back up, but I really got to see it more clearly right now because it moved in the frame. Yeah, technology. I mean, look what's out there. China has robotic female and male robotic things that you can buy. And they can give them faces of famous actresses and actors. So you want to say you were in bed with Eric Estrada? They'll put his face on one of these android body things, clones that they create. And spend $5, $10, $15, $20,000. It doesn't matter. I believe he is referring to the light bearers. Well, that's a term that a lot of people don't really use, but I understand what that means. And to me, they are the light watchers. They're the watchers. There was a movie about that too, with Michael as a guardian angel. And there was also another movie with, there was a few movies out there. And they watch over us in times of our need. They come in. And I think actually what we have here is, if you go through the books, there are implants of double spirits in bodies. Some people don't even know that they're adjacent with another, because it's like in a haunting. You can have multiple spirits and cause you havoc and in your body, and there could be more than one in you, because in this space time, the element of size has no reference points. So you can have 100 entities in you. And in some cases, there's warriors out there to defend, ready in the light, and they will provide and help the energy of the person when it comes necessary to do. And maybe that's sometimes why we see these fascinating heroic things that occur, where a lady picks up a car off her son underneath it that just got ran down, a child, and she has this ability. And of course they call it, this type of major hormone release that just, boom, strength of 1,000 men, and it happens. Or does something else lie within her? And let's face it, there is, when it comes to archangels, I believe it's not all about men. I do believe that we have, and there's probably the identification of female and male archangel warriors, bottom line. And I think when you get into the 4 that most people do reference to, there is one who is referred to as a woman. So, again, remember, purity and light is of his image, and it works in mysterious ways. That's the bottom line. But I'm going to make sure that I send you a Patriot invitation out, Miss Shepard. I think you'd enjoy seeing some of the information. And again, what people post, they're doing their best to post the best information they can, but still everybody needs to research everything. But I think you'll get a different light and perspective as to what goes on behind the scenes for a lot of people out there who do researching. So anyway, it's been great, guys. I'm going to let you guys go. I had a fun time. I hope you did. Thank you for all your comments. I'm going to be back soon. I'll be back. What is today? Monday or Tuesday? I think it's Monday. Pretty sure it's Monday. Maybe I'm wrong. It doesn't even matter at this point. You know what I mean? Every day's Friday in Michael's world. I look at it like that. That way I never have to look forward to a Monday and be disappointed. I celebrate every day as a Friday. So anyway, I'm going to get you some information, Miss Shepard. I will. And you can make the decision. And if you don't like what you're feeling in that vibe, it's no big deal. I get it. But I hope you can get some information that will work for you and that you can share through some of the groups and whatnot. Good show. Be blessed, brother. You too. You too. I mean, I'm for. Now, listen, I'm going to find out the name of that show too. Somebody asked me about the name of the show on the the regression thing. Fantastic as always. Thank you so much. Jen, you've been so quiet this evening. I should have had you on with me. We have a ball when we're together. Maybe we can do something, okay? If you want to, maybe we can do something. Yeah, good show. Jake, you were the one that asked me about that show. Let me look into it, and it is on YouTube, and I think it's called Past Life Regression. But let me look into it and get you the proper information on it. I'll get one of the girls behind the glass to do it. Beth can't do it tonight because she's out partying a little bit for the Christmas holiday, keeping her spirits high. So you guys have a great night. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you. We'll talk soon.